Sorted after the war master race. The history books they tell of their defeat in 45. They all came out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died. They say the prisoner of Spandau was a symbol of defeat. Whilst Hess remained in prison, then the fascists they would beat. So the promise of an Aryan world would never materialize. So why did they all come out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died? The world is riddled with maggots. The maggots are getting fat. They're making a tasty meal of all the bosses and bureaucrats. They're taking over the boardrooms and they're fat and full of pride. And they all came out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died. So if you meet with these historians, I'll tell you what to say. Tell them that the Nazis never really went away. They're out there burning houses down and peddling racist lies. And we'll never rest again until every Nazi dies.
Woke up one morning and there were soldiers. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Woke up one morning and there were soldiers. The invasion had begun. Lend me your shoulder, we'll stand together. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Lend me your shoulder, we'll stand together. But I feel my time has come, and if I die here for the resistance, oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. And if I die here for the resistance, you must lay me in my grave among the flowers upon the mountain. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Among the flowers upon the mountain, let me rest among the brave. Someday the people will pick the flowers. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Someday the people will pick the flowers, and they will remember my name. This is the flower of the resistance. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. This is the flower of the resistance, and those who died for liberty. This is the flower of the resistance. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. This is the flower of the resistance, and those who died for liberty. This is the flower of our resistance, and those who died for liberty.
Come all of you good workers, good news to you I'll tell of how the good old Union has come in here to dwell.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
My daddy was a miner and I'm a miner's son, and I'll stick with the Union till every battle's won.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
They say in Harlan County there are no neutrals there. You'll either be a Union man or a thug for J.H. Blair.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Oh, workers, can you stand it? Oh, tell me how you can. Will you be a lousy scab or will you be a man?
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Don't scab for the bosses, don't listen to their lies. Us poor folks haven't got a chance unless we organize.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
I was born in the Dublin street where the Loyal runs do beat, and the modelling English people walked all over us. And every single night when they tell come home tight, he'd invite the neighbours out with this chorus. Come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Tell her how the IRA made you run like Galway, from the green and lovely lace of Gilshandra. Come tell us how you slew them old Arabs 2 by 2. Like the Zulus, they had knives, bows and arrows. Of how brave you faced one with your 16-pounder gun, and you frightened all the natives to the marrow. Come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Tell her how the IRA...
Hello there, hello there, hello there everybody. How the devil are we all? I'm very well, I thank you for asking. Apologies I was not on yesterday. An IRL situation took me away from the streamage. It's a situation I shall not be talking about. Yes, but I'm back on it. I'm back on my Sigma grind or some shit. I don't fucking know. How have we all been? What have we been up to? Are things going well? Yes, sorry, I was in, everyone, by the way, everyone go and follow a couple of Burks there in the YouTube chat. Yes, I did rather distract from your stream earlier. I asked the question about Owen Jones going through Twink Death, and then the young Burke had to explain to the old Burke what the fuck that was, which is, bless. God bless. But yeah, no, I mean, look, it was going to happen eventually, but Owen Jones, like, finally, in his 40s, is beginning to look like he might be 23, rather than 21, you know? Anyway. Honestly, there's a painting of him. There's a painting of him getting fucking craggier and craggier by the day in his fucking attic. Picture of Dorian Gray style. Oh no, he'd still absolutely get it. Yeah, absolutely. Vosh is coming to Europe. What, on holiday? What do you mean? He's moving. Not on holiday. Oh right, okay. Whereabouts is he going to? Can we stop all of this? Look, chat. In the past, I've all been in favour of immigration, but if whiteoids are going to start coming here, I think we need to lock down the borders. We need to do some extreme vetting on these fucking Americans until we find out what the fuck is going on. These third worlders from North America. Anyway. Why is he moving to Britain? What's his partner is having troubles with a visa? Oh, so he's got like a Dutch partner or something. Okay, fair enough. Well, I hope he enjoys. I don't know what's in the Netherlands. No hills, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I'm distracted now, thinking of like Vosh-related Europe puns. We don't need to go to that place. We'll just leave it there. Right. Yes. So, chat. I'm going to allow For once, I'm going to allow a little bit of democracy to break through on the channel. I've always said this channel is not a democracy. I'm not interested in your foolishness regarding what you want. But for once, I am going to allow it. We're going to have, firstly, the bit that isn't democratic is that we're definitely going to watch Zach Polanski give a speech or something, right? That's going to be the serious bit at the start. Then the back half of the vote. The back half of the show, I'm going to allow a vote. We're going to do the vote basically now, right? We're going to allow a vote because I don't know which bit of slop I want to watch. There are two pieces of particular slop, and you'll get to choose which one we watch. Okay, which means I have to set up a vote in both of these things. Can I remember how to do that? Start a poll. Question. Right. So the two options are going to be: we can either watch a shoe on head video, right? Now I'm not sure whether I wanted to watch this anyway, but I'll let the chat be the judge because I don't know if I want to watch this with you now or wait and watch it with Christy as well, because I always enjoy Christy getting annoyed at it. Like that for me, the entertainment of it doesn't come from actually watching the video because it's always shit. It's you know, it's waiting for Christy. So you have that choice. You have show on head culture war nonsense, or the other option. The other option is Sargon of Akkad talking about demographics. Both of those videos, I assure you, well, I say I assure you, I haven't watched them, but I imagine are going to be fucking dog shit. So you get to decide which plate of dog shit you want to eat. Show on head culture war or Sargon on demographics. And then, no, we don't want yes or no. What? No, I don't want to create. Hang on. Whoa. Right. Start poll. Is that a thing? Okay. Right. So there's a poll started on the YouTube. Can I remember how to do that? Oh, someone's already done it. Okay, thank you. The poll is there also on the Twitch machines. We'll allow a few minutes for that while I do kind of, you know, setting the scene. So yeah, it's either shoe on head culture war video.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
No, her videos are always shit, I assure you, Gennaro. Or it's Sargon of Akkad on demographics, where he does a fascism. Anyway, vote to your heart's content. Vote early and vote often. Thank you, Carl Brown, for gifting a membership on the YouTubes. Much love to you, my friend. Much love. Don't forget you can also give me money in the form of bits and subs and subscriptions and Twitch and super chats and this all of that shite. How many Sargons will we get through is the question. Well, that is also a very good question, yeah. Thank you, Wayward. You were ahead of me on the Twitch poll. I don't want to put my finger on the scale, so we'll let democracy run its course. And as we do that, dear chat, we will watch, hopefully, the future Prime Minister of this disunited kingdom, Zach Polanski. He was giving a speech in that, so we'll have a look. Also, just wanted to mention Chris Packham there. The gent you see to his right, no, his left, our right there, who I've always been a massive fan of since the early 90s because I'm old. He used to do a show called The Really Wild Show. It was a kid's show about wildlife and it was fucking awesome. He taught me that animals can feel things and that you should be nice to animals and that. And it's also based about like animal rights and countryside shit and hunting and things like that. Good lad. Anyway, we won't hear him speak. I just wanted to give him a shout out because he's fucking dope. Thank you to... Who was that? Going Full something. The name cuts off, apologies. Going Full Frog. There we go. With 5 gifties on the YouTube. Much love to you, my friend. Much love to... With Michaela Strachan. Abso-fucking-lutely. Fosmos, we can be friends. Anyway, Zach Polanski's talking about stuff.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yesterday I was in Oxfordshire, standing in the aftermath of the devastation caused by a wildfire. Trees reduced to charcoal. Cars turned to burnt out wrecks. The smell of smoke still lingering in the air on the site of what was once a thriving local business, now reduced to ash. Wildfires, literal scorched earth, and a looming sense, and I really want everyone to hear this. This is only just the beginning. And today, as temperatures fall at the end of yet another extreme heat alert, we know that if it rains now, the soil being baked dry means it's much more likely to flood. These days feel exceptional, but what we are living through right now are likely some of the least extreme summer temperatures we'll experience in our lifetimes. Today, I am sounding the alarm, and I'm laying out a plan. Because last week, while a wildfire the size of 200 football pitches was raging across Suffolk, I called on Prime Minister...
And why was none of those places the pitch at Portman Road? That's what I want to know. Of all of the 200 football pitches, why were none of them Ipswich Town's pitch? Typical.
Burnham to act urgently to address the crisis. I suggested a COBRA meeting, being the very least he could do.
No, because the COBRA meetings are just for when, like, Zionists are slightly annoyed at a thing, and then you get a COBRA meeting. If, like, brown people get killed, that doesn't matter. But you get a COBRA meeting if Benjamin Netanyahu wants one. So...
And 6 days later, with another heat alert just having ended, we have still heard next to nothing from the very top of government. No emergency briefings, no new plan, and precious little detail about how this government will protect people from the crisis. It is putting lives and livelihoods...
Why wasn't it the Rose Garden? Is the Rose Garden in Suffolk, Tom? Because the joke I wanted to do is, why isn't it Villa Park? But that's not in Suffolk. So if I have to stay geographically accurate, so do you, chat, okay? That's the standard I've set. I will not have your bullshit. Is Netanyahu RPM? Kind of. He's certainly more powerful than RPM, which is ludicrous, but there we go.
At risk across the entire UK. So today, I'm delivering a reality check. We are facing the biggest threat to this country since the Second World War. I'm setting out what Prime Minister Burnham can do now to tackle the crisis, and I am challenging him to act with the urgency we need.
But I thought the Green Party don't talk about green politics anymore. I thought it was all just culture war and socialisms and how they want to kill the rich. I thought they never talked about the environment anymore. Oh yeah, the right wing are liars. They're lying cunts. They're just liars who lie about everything. All the time. Cool.
You will hear today from those on the front line of this crisis, and they will lay out what they have dealt with in the past few weeks. And to them, on behalf of the entire country, I want to say thank you. Extreme weather...
Tom, I don't mind you making that joke, but just be careful. Just be careful, okay? Because the police are extra vigilant when it comes to leftists making even shielded, obvious jokes about potential violence against our political betters. one daresn't say anything like, I don't know, I support Palestine action, because if you did say that, and just to be clear, I'm not saying that, I'm saying you shouldn't say that. Because if you do, it's terrorism, and you get 14 years in jail for supporting a terrorist organisation. And that's perfectly reasonable, you understand. I think it's perfectly good that, like, blind people in fucking mobility scooters and shit, like, actually, would a blind person, that wouldn't make sense. Someone in a mobility scooter, or a blind person, or a 70-year-old fucking priest gets arrested, because they're just like Osama bin Laden. You know, terrorists! So when you say things like that about the Prime Minister's garden, be careful. Just be careful. This is your public service announcement of saying, think before you joke. Because whilst they claim we have freedom of speech, to quote the late great, genuine RIPs in chat, Joe Strummer, you have the right to free speech, as long as you're not stupid enough to actually use it.
Is now the new normal. And without action, the impact on the people of this country will be unimaginably grave. The threats we face are threefold. First, the threat to the safety of the population. Almost 3,000 people have died from the effects of extreme heat this summer. And we know that older people and those with pre-existing conditions are particularly at risk from these dangerous temperatures. Those are the people who have been forced to stay at home for days on end.
Can I just say, a disappointing number of RIPs in chat for Joe Strummer. This is unbelievable. By the way, Sargon, for the first time ever, Sargon has won a vote. He's usually Mr. 3%, but he has stormed it. Cray.
Windows, curtains closed, trying to wait out the extreme heat. And these are the people who are most likely now to have grieving families, whose bodies were under such intense strain and trying just to stay cool that their kidneys and their hearts could no longer cope. Meanwhile, wildfires have seen hundreds evacuated from their homes, while many thousands more wait anxiously with flames on the horizon and smoke in their lungs. We've seen across...
Right, but is this happening in places where rich people live? Because they don't care unless it's happening where rich people live. Nothing will ever disgust me more than... I forget which year it was exactly. It was under the Prime Ministership of David Cameron, I remember that much. So we're talking 2010 to 2016, somewhere in there. There was floods. Huge amount of flooding in the north of England, which the Westminster elite gave not a shit about because it's the north of England. Why would they care? And then, when rural Oxfordshire started flooding, all of a sudden the Prime Minister was there, promising to take action. No amount of money would be spared to save Oxfordshire, which for anyone outside the country is one of the richest places in the country. Yeah. If anything tells you why, like, if anyone was wondering why the north of England thinks that Westminster doesn't care about it, it's because it doesn't.
Across Europe, how bad things can get. Hundreds of thousands evacuated.
Yeah, Boscombe, that was it, yeah.
500,000 acres burned. The sheer scale of the devastation is hard to comprehend, but we need to look it in the face, because this is only a taster of what's to come if we don't act now.
To be fair, though, he's been too busy doing TikToks and then going on holiday to actually care about the climate crisis. Why would he care? Why would he care? No. Now, what we need to do is drill for more North Sea oil, because that'll help. Definitely. By the way, that's not me attacking him doing TikToks. You can do TikToks, I don't care, but there have been significant areas of policy that he hasn't really filled in whilst he's been doing nothing, really. And now he's fucked off on his hollybobs, which, again, I don't really care about, because, like, he has to go on holiday sometime, and Parliament doesn't come back till September the 1st, so now it seems like a pretty good time, I guess. But again, you could tell the country what you're gonna do. That would be nice, I think.
Second, we face a threat to our food and water security. Farmers are now warning we could see food shortages after flooding followed by
Right. Two birds, one stone. We need natural fertiliser in the country, do we not? Yes. There's lots of poo in the water. Yes. Put the watery poo onto the land. Brilliant food growing. When you think about it, Thames Water have been doing the farmers a service by creating natural water and feed combo. Don't worry about the salt in the water. That's just woke nonsense, okay? That's lies they tell to idiots. It's woke culture war madness that the left want to tell you about. I am a sea salt truther.
drought has decimated crops. And despite farmers working...
Well, it was good that he announced an end to rough sleeping. I hope he actually follows through with that in any way. But, like, there are lots of other issues he could have tackled, which he has decided not to. I want to laugh, but parasites, though. Well, the House of Lords aren't going to be doing farming, so the parasites won't... It doesn't matter, does it? You know?
Working really hard through the nights to avoid the heat. Food production is grinding to a halt, and our food prices are set to rise.
Oh yeah, the right wing will believe any old shit. Don't worry, chat. Don't worry about right wingers believing a silly thing. There are people who believe the Earth is flat, and honestly, it's my favourite thing ever. The absurdity of it is so funny. I remember discussing this with somebody. I can't remember, it was years ago now, and it was like the actual thing with the flat Earth. There are so many things that disprove it that it's obviously silly, but some of the things that they do, right, so you have to explain, if the Earth isn't round, how does gravity work? Because, like, if you drop a thing, it falls to the floor, right? You have to explain that in any theory of the shape or size or whatever of the Earth. So how do they explain it? They don't explain it that it's the gravitational pull of a round Earth pulling things toward the core, right, which is true. They explain it that the Earth is travelling upwards in space constantly. So, for instance, and I asked this question, if you jump in the air, you're not pulled back to the Earth by gravity. What happens is that the Earth travelling upwards meets the bottom of your feet. And the person said yes. At that point, what are you even discussing? Like, how do you even take that conversation forward? It's so mental. It's so dumb. That person can't be reasoned with. There's no point trying to, like, think of anything useful to say in that situation. You just laugh. It's just ridiculousness. Well, props for honesty, but they believe it. That's the thing. It's fucking stupid. It's so stupid. At that point, you might as well say it's on the back of a fucking turtle or tortoise or whatever. It's fucking bollocks. Gravity is woke. That is true. Real flat earthers deny this to be the case. They claim things falling is a result of density. Well, them believing it is a case of density, to be sure, but yeah. Might be a different meaning of the word density, I think.
Half of England is experiencing serious drought, and across the country...
Yeah, but it's the poor bit, so who cares, Zach? That's the thing you're not getting. Can Palantir make any money out of us dealing with the climate crisis? No, they can't. So why would they ever tackle this issue?
8 of our water reservoirs are at risk of running dry. Privatised water companies that have failed to build a single new reservoir since 1992 are losing nearly 3 billion litres of water a day from leaky pipes. That's 5 times more than a nationwide hosepipe ban would even save. The threat is so severe that the UK's National Risk Register warns that if we have 3 years of exceptionally dry weather like this, we could face water rationing. These aren't distant possibilities. They're very real scenarios, and they are coming straight at us down the track. Because finally, we face a threat to our very way of life. Parents, unable to take their children to the playground because the slides are so hot, it could burn their skin off. Temperatures so high, they keep us inside for days for the sake of our health. Cities feeling like ghost towns, parks turned into deserts. We only have to look across the channel to France and Spain to see what faces us in the years ahead.
We also need to look across the channel to see how, you know, maybe we could do publicly owned water and transport and stuff. Would be good too. Those things would be nice. Yeah.
Europe is heating at twice the rate of the rest of the world. Wildfires, droughts, deadly floods. The scenes we have seen play out on our TV screens are frankly apocalyptic. And yet the response from our government is to pretend none of this is happening. It is an astonishing dereliction of duty from those whose very first responsibility is to keep all of us safe.
Now, he raises a very good point. It should be the case that they follow that precept, that keeping people safe is the number one priority and duty of a government. But ultimately, that is not how neoliberal governance has chosen to go with it. Their first and foremost thing is, can we get economic growth out of this? Can we make money for rich bastards? Can we just build 1 million data centres and hope that fixes employment somehow? That's it. That's literally it. They don't give two fucks about the fact that Britain's going to be a raging wildfire hellscape, similar to the surface of the fucking sun soon. Have we tried doing a 6p bag tax while killing the poor? Perhaps.
And from the media, with some brilliant and notable exceptions.
Yes, invade France, sell their public water and use it to subsidise our water companies. True. Although the fact that Reform UK's immigration policy is literally to invade France, maybe let's not give them ideas. Because I could see them doing it. Well, the Reform policy is we're going to drop boats back off on the French shore, whether France agrees to that or not. And as France obviously won't agree to that, that will actually be an act of invasion and war. As you do. Can you hear that? Can you hear that alarm in the distance there? I don't know if that's being picked up on the microphone or not. I don't think it was police. I think it was an ambulance, but I have been doing jokes about terrorism lately, so you know. Maybe they're going to arrest me for supporting the murder of, I don't know, former MPs or something. Which, by the way, I did not do. Either the support of or the actual act itself.
We have seen more clamouring for North Sea drilling in the last few weeks than actually raising the alarm on climate breakdown. While our country has come together, people have offered shelter to those who have had to leave their homes due to wildfires. They've checked in with older neighbours to care for those who are sick because of the heat. But the government have been far, far too quiet on what is an emergency. So today you will hear from some of those on the front line of this crisis, and those...
What the hell is this?
How many times... This. Absolutely brilliant. The Russian Nord Stream gas pipeline is 1,400 kilometres long. 3 times the distance from Glasgow to London. This is great. 3 times the distance. How many times could we have installed a huge water pipe to pump water from the huge Scottish lochs since the 1976 heatwave? Again, no forward thinking, no common sense. This. Absolutely brilliant.
I mean, firstly, that would require the government to invest in infrastructure, which, I mean, you're a Thatcherite, mate, so I'm not entirely sure what you think is going to happen there. And secondly, get to fuck. You've already stolen all their fucking oil, now you want the water. Absolutely ludicrous. The only time I watch Talk TV is to listen to like right-wing nonsense for content, basically. That's it.
Those with vital insights into how we face this threat. A doctor, a firefighter, someone who served this country in the armed forces, and someone who is dedicated.
Oh God. Why? Oh, don't do. I mean, look. Don't get me wrong. If the member of the armed forces has some relevance to it, by all means. But don't do this thing. Someone who served our country in the armed forces. What's that got to do with fucking climate change, man? Don't be sucking off fucking the. Don't do the thing that right wingers love. When will people get this through their fucking heads? Pandering to people who hate you doesn't work. You don't need to be like, God bless the troops, God bless America. Especially because we're not in America. But you don't need to do that patriotic thing. People who are voting for you, Zachary, don't give two fucks for that shit. You don't need to do it. It's cringe. Now, if they happen to have served in the military and have some relevant experience or knowledge elsewise as to the climate crisis, by all means. But just saying they served this country, so what? Loads of people serve this country. Firefighters serve this country. Fucking hell, during the COVID crisis, shelf stackers were some of the bravest cunts out there earning a fucking pittance. No one thanks them for their fucking service, and no, banging pots and pans doesn't count.
His entire career to our precious nature and wildlife. It's experts like these that this government should be bringing to the table to design a full-scale emergency response. So I want to step out from this big picture and look at some of the urgent steps that Prime Minister Burnham needs to urgently announce to protect people right now and keep us safe from what we know is coming down the track. In the immediate term, we need to keep people safe from extreme temperatures. That means a free, accessible, cool space in every local area. And financial support.
Do you not support the communist takeover of the army? Well, in any socialist state, the army would have to be changed, sure. Because if there's any way that a counter-revolution would take place, it would start with the army, naturally. Who, again, pledge allegiance to the king, or the queen before that, to the monarch and their heirs and successors, not to the British people, not to a constitution, not to even to a government, to a monarch. They are the Royal Armed Forces. So that would all have to change, yes. But in lieu of that having happened, they can get fucked. But, well, Dowdies makes, I think, an interesting point. They say, Zach has to do the performative troop-shagging nonsense because it's a sham democracy, and he is afraid of getting Corbynised by the real power. He's already being Corbynised. He's already doing that. That's already happening. He's already been called an anti-Semite, whilst also having comically, ludicrously, cartoonishly anti-Semitic drawings of him done in the national press. Whilst also, interestingly, they ignore the fact that a fucking neo-Nazi has been selected as a candidate by the Conservative Party. I presume, given their interest in the topic, that the ECHR are going to be jumping in, or EHRC, whatever, the fucking the Equalities and Human Rights Commission, are going to be jumping in to do in-depth investigation into the anti-Semitism of the Conservative Party. Like they did with Corbyn. Do you remember? Do you remember when that's a thing? Not anymore, he has been withdrawn. Has he actually been withdrawn? Because they defended it this morning. Oh, he withdrew. Not he was withdrawn. Here we go. Tory leader Kemi Badenoch had defended the decision to select him as a candidate. Jesus Christ. So, neo-Nazi guy, Bonehill Payne, said he has now withdrawn his candidacy and has been offered a position as an anti-extremism advisor to the party. But you know, this is from the establishment that really cared about anti-Semitism, guys. Honest. Yeah. Are you trying to get me arrested? Are you trying to get Mr. Streamy arrested? I feel like there's a deliberate font size issue going on here. Unbelievable. You did my boy Streamy dirty.
Support for households so they can heat-proof their homes. Second, we need a robust wildfire prevention strategy.
Yep.
A fire service with the resources it needs to tackle blazes when they come. And that must include firefighting helicopters when needed. And not again ever seeing the shocking sight of requiring a charity to step in to contract a private firm to help fight fires. And this should all be funded by taxing the fossil fuel giants who are profiting from fueling these infernos.
Yes, literally yes. You started the fire, you pay to put it out, you cunts. Yes. Here, fucking here.
And finally, to secure our water supply, prevent droughts, and protect our food system, we need to bring water back into public hands.
Fuck yes! Honestly, I'm going to create so much jizz it could put out wildfires. Yes.
Right now, money is flowing out of our hands into the pockets of shareholders. Just like
who are literally pumping shit into our waters. We're giving them huge amounts of public money to put poo in the water your kids have to swim in. Absolute madness.
water is flowing out of those companies' leaky pipes in the middle of a drought. Every single penny households pay for their water needs to go back into strengthening our infrastructure,
yes,
building new reservoirs, and protecting us from the droughts of the future.
Fuck yes. Fuck yes to all of it.
We know that these extreme temperatures, these deadly wildfires, are being driven by the burning of fossil fuels. And the sad reality is decades of inaction, of politicians allowing fossil fuel companies to profit from pumping out deadly emissions, have guaranteed the extreme weather we are seeing right now, and we will see for the rest of our lifetimes. But there is still time.
No 255. What the fuck? Question. Kev, when you hear, quote, firefighting helicopters, unquote, do you also imagine transformers that turn from helicopters to robots with hosepipe hands? No 255. That is not at all what I fucking imagined. Oh, I didn't realise I had to manually end the poll. Okay, there we go. Sargon got 64%, Shu 36%. Okay, there you go. I think it was 100% on Twitch, but there we go. She didn't even get a deposit back on Twitch. Yes, the guy did indeed get sent down, at least in part, for his racially motivated harassment of Luciana Berger. Yeah, that is true. When will England produce its first climate refugees? The irony of that moment will be sweet. The irony will be sweet. The actual humanity of it will be rough. But yeah, I see what you mean, Eric. Also, thank you for 27 months, my friend. Much love. What's 255 taking? That's just 255. That's just him in his natural habitat, man. It's all good.
To stop total
He has a vivid imagination.
breakdown. So let me speak directly to the Prime Minister. If we are to secure a livable future for our children and for our grandchildren, there can be no new drilling for oil and gas.
Yes.
On this, the science is crystal clear. As politicians, we have a
True, but have you considered that the amount of money that fossil fuel companies give to Kemi Badenoch and to the Labour Party is also crystal clear, and is much more persuasive than the lives of future electorates they don't have to care about. Have you considered that, Zach? Because they definitely fucking have.
moral responsibility to do what is right for the people we serve, even when it's not politically convenient. And I know that whatever our differences, we both care deeply about the people of this country and the future of our planet. So when the time comes,
We already have climate refugees, do we? What do you mean? Who are the climate refugees from the UK? I was unaware of this.
I hope you will have the courage to be truthful, be brave, and hold firm to your party's commitment to no new oil and gas drilling in
Oh, no. When we say climate refugees, we mean climate refugees from the UK. Not climate refugees who have come here. Yeah, those obviously already exist. Of course they do. We meant like people who are moving from England because it's like unlivable because of the heat and the drought and so on and so forth. Obviously, we already have people who have come here as climate refugees. Especially from like low-lying islands that are
Looking
basically
for a gazebo that's great.
unlivable. What's this? Former neo-Nazi chosen as Turco. Well, that's sort of out of date now because he's been withdrawn. But yes, thank you, 255.
in the North Sea, including both Rosebank and Jackdaw. Now, some will say we can't afford to make these changes.
Well, firstly, yes, we can. We can afford to do anything we fucking want to. The pandemic showed that. When it was suitable, the government could get all the homeless people off the streets. And then as soon as it didn't matter anymore, fuck 'em! Back on the streets, you scum! Like, it's all a political choice. Obviously. And secondly, it's also very arguable that if the country becomes absolutely unlivable, that will also be, as well as a climate catastrophe and a human catastrophe, an economic clusterfuck for the ages. You know.
These last few weeks are showing we can't afford not to. We are facing an existential threat. People are dying. People are scared. It is time to act. And when we do, we won't just avoid the worst effects of climate breakdown. We will lower bills permanently, help our communities thrive, and give a grounded sense of hope for generations to come. I'm so proud.
Oh, he wants to give people hope. What a fucking wokelet. One of the wokerati wanting people to feel some semblance of hope in the future. Communist.
We're joined by 4 people who, in their own ways, have dedicated their lives to this country. And so first, I'm absolutely honoured to introduce Carl Benfield, a former soldier and engineer who served in the Royal Engineers for 16 years, protecting the people of this country. Thank you for your service, and I'm delighted to introduce Carl Benfield. Carl.
I don't know who this lad is, and I don't care. Bit of a beefcake, though, I've got to say. Lovely moustache. Anyway. Yes, that was Zach Polanski making very sensible points that, unfortunately, I dare say that Mr. Drill Baby Drill, although he hasn't actually said that, but it seems likely he's going to try and open up some drilling in the North Sea, is going to fucking ignore. Because Andy Burnham, whilst he's made some positive noises about certain things, the aforementioned ending of Rough Sleeping, the kind of mealy-mouthed things about wanting, was it greater public control of resources? So not nationalisation, just like stronger regulations or whatever. But I mean, that would still be better, I guess. So there have been some positives there, but ultimately it seems to me he's still the same old Blairite scumbag that he always was. You still have to keep an open mind to an extent, of course, you know. But whilst he's kept Panopticon Pam as the Home Secretary, then I don't know what good is going to come of it, in all honesty. We'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. But either way, Zach Polanski with a positive intervention in British politics. Good to see. Good to see. So, yes, we did have a winner of the vote, didn't we? Which means that I have to go and find that video now. So, Sargon of Akkad, a long time a long time, I don't know, sparring partner, is that the right word? Of the Kev from a million years ago. Put out a video which I can't seem to fucking find. Is it? I'll have to go into the. Hang on a minute. Where is it now? It's not on that channel, I don't think. Ah, it's on his other fucking channel. That's why. Okay.
But the clean.
Shut the fuck up, advert. Anyway, it's called "They Just Can't Talk About Demographics." Yeah, which, even though they all talk about demographics all the fucking time, but you know, in right wing world, just saying things makes it real for them. All they have to do is say that, like, oh, we never talk about immigration, and even though we talk about immigration all the fucking time, it's just true for them. They've decided it's true, and it feels over reals, bitches. Yes, I did see that AIPAC had been somewhat defeated in America, which is good. It's good that they torched tens of millions of dollars, and it's a genuinely positive thing that the AIPAC has now become like a genuinely toxic word for the Democrats. That's a real positive. Now, they'll find other ways. They'll rebrand it as different fucking stupid PACs and things, but just the fact that being associated with the Zionist entity is bad, positive direction. Yeah. We'll wait and see. So, just bear in mind, however bad this is, you chose this, chat. You did this to yourselves.
So a really interesting conversation happened on Julia Hartley-Brewer's show on Talk TV today.
No, it didn't. That's impossible. An interesting conversation and Julie Hartley-Brewer have never been, have never met. I've never seen the two of them together, ever.
Okay. Not a sentence I often say, but Charlie Downs was on there talking about what it was that Restore Britain is actually offering that is substantively different to Reform, and why Reform might once consider some kind of electoral pact with them. This is genuinely interesting.
Why is his beard grey but his hair isn't? It's called Just for Men. And much like his entire political ideology, it's a lie.
Interesting. Let's get to it.
Well, many of your colleagues have routinely failed to mention one of the most important ones, I would say the most important one, which is demographic security for the white British people. We're going to become a minority in the...
There you go. Just straight away. The only thing that matters is that I'm white and British. That's the only thing that I have that means anything. Like, how pathetic, how empty is your fucking existence that the thing that you most cherish in this world, the thing that you're most proud of, that needs to be protected at all costs, is the lack of colour of your skin. Is your spicelessness. Thank you, Kieran Kinsella, with 6 months on the YouTubes. And Kieran, with an absolutely smashing 10 gifties on the YouTubes. Much love to you, my friend. I will honestly do serious criminal activity on your behalf. That is a joke. Do not ban me, Twitch and or YouTube. Yeah, demographic security means that white people always remain a majority. Like, that the white people are the only thing that matters. That white people are better or indeed superior, dare I say. That is literally the only thing that these people care about. It's, yeah, he's just a fascist. So the problem with James's take on that is if a person was truly reformed from being a fascist, they wouldn't opt to join the Conservative Party, which is increasingly moving far right, blah, blah, blah. Exactly, yeah. This is just fascist entryism into a fascist flirtation Conservative Party. Yeah. Yeah. But don't worry, he's now part of their anti-extremism body, so that's cool. That's very normal. Very normal. Yes. Indigenous for us. Well, that's the thing. Britain doesn't have indigenous people. That isn't a thing. Okay? Unless you can actually tie yourself back to the Britannic peoples, you're not indigenous. And even then, that's not really indigenous as such. It depends how far back you want to go. But at the very least, if you're like Viking or Roman or Norman or Jute or Dane, you're not fucking indigenous. I'm sorry, Mr. Benjamin, your name is not from the Iceni tribe. Like, you're not a Pict. You're French, mate. Now, your family might have been French 500 fucking years ago. Doesn't matter to me. I think you have an absolute right to be in this country. You were born here. By all means, stay here. Fine. Dandy. But don't pretend you're fucking indigenous. That's ridiculous. At least I can say that my fucking family name is actually Scottish. Now, admittedly, they moved to Ireland and then to England and all over the fucking place. But regardless, if we're going to play that game, mate, you can fuck off. Well, he used to pretend he had a sub-Saharan grandfather, but that's obviously not true. No, not Iceni. And that is how it's pronounced. It's not Iceni. It's Iceni. So shut up. I am accurate with my pronunciation of one ancient Britannic tribe. Leave me alone. And the reason that I refer to them as Picts is because we don't know what the fuck they were actually called. They left no writing, so we don't know what they called themselves or even what languages they spoke. But there we go.
This country within the next 40 years on present demographic trends. In 2024, only 54% of live births were to white British mothers. This is an existential threat to our nation. And
why is it existential? Unless you think whiteness is like inherent and has to be a part of everything. Why is it existential? Why is it existential? Just saying. You're right, but at what ultimate cost? Well, indeed, indeed.
Reform have always.
Well, what do you mean, why?
genuinely, the right wing do this. I don't think he's being bad faith when he asks that question. I think he's being absolutely genuine in that he has not considered why someone might hold the opinion that it would not be an existential threat to the country to have, brown people. He's genuinely that, let's say, incurious that he wouldn't know why someone would be taken aback by the absurd notion,
If we literally are outbred by the third world in our own land, then we lose control.
Whoa. Who said anything about third world? Is someone from Turkey in the third world? What about someone from Iberia? Are they third world? Also, at what point do they ever stop being third world, Carl? Let's say you're a 10th generation Somalian. Are you still third world? Is there something inherent and genetic about third worldedness that remains with them forevermore? Like, you're just doing racism. You're just saying brown people bad. Kev goes mask off. What's this? Thing that matters? That white people are better or indeed superior, dare I say? That the white people are the only thing that matters? That white people are better or indeed superior, dare I say? Why have you got the things? Hang on. Where did the fucking captions come from? That the white people are the only thing that matters? That white people are better or indeed superior, dare I say? What? Where have the words come from? Oh, this is madness. You people in your clip chimpings are getting out of hand.
Control over our own land, and it becomes a third world nation against our...
Well, hang on, why does it become a third world nation? Even if people of third world heritage are that, if people of third world heritage breed, why does it become third world? Again, are you literally saying there is something genetic within people from, let's say, sub-Saharan Africa? Because that's basically what he means, although I suppose Pakistani or Bangladeshi people, whatever. Let's just say non-white people. Is there something genetic about them that makes them third world, Carl? Yeah, he just means brown people. Yeah.
Will. Nobody ever voted for any immigration ever.
What a sentence. No one ever voted for any immigration ever. I did. I absolutely did, yeah. To annoy you, Carl, specifically. I will vote for any party that wants more migration just to annoy you. Just so the third world outbreeds you, Carl. Yeah. 100%. Jesus Christ. Again, in the right-wing worldview, right, they don't think that anyone else actually can disagree with them. They just think they're lying or they have some nefarious plan. But they secretly think that every single person believes exactly as they believe. So when they say no one's ever voted for immigration, what they mean is I have never voted for any immigration. Even though Carl literally asked at the election, 17 maybe, I think it was, election, he literally said that people should vote for the Conservative Party, who then, let loads of people in, because, that's the way that Conservatives always do it. They say low migration and then let lots of people in. Not because they're not racist, it's because they want cheap work. That's literally it. They know we need more people. So, yeah. So when you say you've never voted for immigration, you have, Carl. You might not want to admit that to yourself, but you definitely, absolutely have done that. You don't like brown people, but you have voted for immigration.
And now we're going to become a minority in our own country.
Good.
And Julie Hartley Brewer's like, why? Why is that a problem?
Why is it a problem? Do minorities get treated badly in this country or something? Do minorities get treated worse than other people in this country, Carl? Because if not, then what's the problem? I'm always told by people like you that minorities get treated better. So why would you not wish to become a minority, Carl? Oh yeah, you're full of shit. Yeah.
Because she's a liberal, fundamentally.
Yeah, Julia Hartley Brewer, fucking fascioid cancer herself, is a liberal. That's how far right this fucking clown shoe of a human being has gone. He went from, I'm a classical liberal, to, Julia Hartley Brewer's a classical liberal. The radicalisation of YouTubers needs to be studied.
Denied this.
Why?
Because-
Let me give you a bit more detail around why I'm saying why. I think an awful lot of people in this country, of all skin colours, share a concern about the major demographic changes in this country in terms of people coming from other countries, not speaking our language, not sharing our values of adherence to the law, and integrating, etc., etc. However, I don't think.
But it's fine when white people do those things. When brown people do it, that's bad. But when white people do it, that's fine. Like, literally, all the very same people who go on about how the Muslimics are raping our kids were literally like crying salt tears for the passing of Rod Liddle, a man who said he couldn't become a teacher because he couldn't stop himself fucking the children. And wrote an article in which he genuinely argued that it shouldn't be illegal to watch child pornography. Yeah, the same people who want to protect the women and girls were all very sad that he is passing. As you do, you know.
I think that's got anything to do with anyone's skin colour.
Okay. The connection between immigration and skin colour is that most of the world has a different skin colour.
Okay, what about if it was all Polish people then? Or Russians? Like, he's the dumbest cunt, man, I swear. Like you'd ever be fine with all of France moving here or some shit.
Don't get me wrong, if it was millions and millions of Eastern Europeans, or continental Europeans, coming over, that would also be a problem. In fact, it would...
Yeah, exactly. I know it would, mate. I know. Your xenophobia and your generic racism are two strings of your bow, I'm aware.
Was a problem leading up to the Brexit referendum, where we had loads of Eastern Europeans here, and then they all were like, oh, okay, fair enough, Brexit, we'll just go home then. And everyone thought...
No, they already went home. Again, the ignorance of the right is amazing. Most of the people who came over in the early 2000s, the quote-unquote Polish plumbers, most of whom had already gone back. The vast majority who came here already went home before the Brexit referendum ever happened. But the right wing, again, they were set in their notions that every single person was a Polish plumber and they all needed to go. Didn't matter that they already had gone. This wasn't a problem. No, it had to be, you know, we have to vote for this thing that's going to financially destroy us. Because, you know, Polish plumbers. Brilliant. So according to Carl, Mile Pale Ass is an Arab. I don't know if he's aware of where Bulgaria is. Like, if I asked him, I don't know that he'd be able to tell you. In all honesty. It's just like, it's one of those countries where the right wingers are like, that's basically sort of Eastern Europe or something. Next to Poland, maybe, or Czech Republic, something like that. Is it by Russia? I don't know, it's something like that. They wouldn't be able to tell you. They have no fucking idea. They don't know where Kent is, a lot of them.
But great, the immigration problem is solved. In fact, people's concern about immigration really tanked after Brexit because they thought that was how that problem was solved.
Yeah, because they were lied to by people like you and Nigel Farage. And actually what it did was get rid of the Dublin Accords, which made the immigration situation significantly worse. It's almost as if the EU were tackling this problem and that you fuckers were lying to people. Crazy.
It turns out that Boris Johnson was like, okay, you're getting third world immigration, then crank open the floodgates. So it's not strictly that it is about skin colour, Julia, even though you're getting hung up on this, is that...
Isn't Bulgaria, isn't that on Wimbledon Common? If anyone gets that joke, you well done on also being old, and we just became best friends.
Skin colour happens to correlate. People from Britain are white-skinned if...
No, they're not. Some people are. True. That is a thing. Many people are not. What do you mean? There's something intrinsic whether you have to be white? Why?
The native British people are white-skinned.
Yeah, no, not native. Because you're not native, are you, Carl? Again, Benjamin is a French name. Benjamin. You are a Frenchman by heritage. Somewhere down the line, a froggy wobble came over to the UK, and here you are. Not one of the better pieces of immigration-related activity, I'm sure. But either way, you are not native to these lands, Carl. And that's fine. No one cares. Literally, I don't give a fuck. There's no such thing as native or indigenous. You're full of shit. You're full of shit.
And if you have millions and millions and millions of people with different skin colour, that must have been the product of immigration. It's just...
Okay, and? Again, literally, so what? Like...
that simple.
So
Well,
why
white
is that a
British-
threat to our country?
White British is a census classification
Yes,
used by the
I'm
ONS.
not disputing that.
Yeah, so I'm not talking about skin colour, I'm talking about a census classification that includes...
You are talking about...
You literally did. You started off with white British will become a minority. So you absolutely... What the fuck does... Hang on. How can you say white people are going to be a demographic minority and say I'm not talking about skin colour? What does the white refer to then? What does the white refer to? The colour of your shirt? What is it? The royal family are not native. Well, the royal family are definitely not native. Fucking Germans. Jesus Christ. You know, that fantastic old Brittonic name of Saxe-Coburg-Gotha.
Skin colour.
Scottish,
White.
Welsh,
The
and
word
Irish.
white. It's a bit of a...
Because the native British people are white.
They're also imaginary because they don't exist, Carl. You can make them any colour you like because it isn't a thing.
You're acting as if this is more important than it is, I think.
No, Carl. You are acting like it's much more important than it actually is.
Yes, well, I mean, it's a descriptive category used...
There is an ethnicity that is, you know, English, white, British, white. Yes, I get that. And, you know, going back many centuries, we are, and have been always, until about 20 years ago, almost entirely a white nation.
Until 20 years ago? Until 20 years ago? So, what, the Brixton riots didn't happen in the 80s then? 40 years ago? The Tuxteth riots didn't happen. Windrush wasn't a thing. That was in the 1950s. That was 70 fucking years ago. That was before you were born. It was possibly before your parents were born. I don't know how old they are, but whatever. But 2006 is the year when brown people started arriving. Just the queen of British journalism here, the cream of the crop, Julia Hartley-Brewer. Amazing. Amazing! Yeah, literally, Fosmo's absolutely correct. The Rivers of Blood speech was in the fucking 70s. 50 years ago. And the right wing have been spewing the same shit since then. I told you, man, conservatism is just going back to the point where you were young enough that you felt optimistic about the future and pretending that was fucking perfect and saying, let's go back to there. That's all conservatism is. For each conservative, there is a point in time that they think things were brilliant because they were young enough that the world hadn't crushed their spirit yet. They had hopes and dreams. They thought the world was good. They felt safe. Which is why, of course, they go after like cultural icons, like when they came for the Ghostbusters movie. Because for a lot of people growing up in the 90s or 2000s, or even in the 80s, right? The Ghostbusters movie was like a warm, friendly piece of nonsense that they loved. And so messing with that was like messing with the entire moment of perfection that they imagined their upbringing to have been. Even though if they looked at it for a second, they will have noticed the exact same problems that they now perceive about the real world now, back then. Fucking Powell made that speech in the 70s, and he claimed, wrongly, that there was an entire school in his constituency with no white kids in it. It wasn't true. They looked into the fucking the information. There was no such school that existed. But they still do the same shit now. Each conservative has a time, be it for the boomers, it was like the fucking 50s or some shit. For when I was growing up, it was like the kind of 70s or 80s that the country was good or whatever. For people like Hartley-Brewer or fucking Carl or whatever, they've decided it's like the early 2000s because they were young enough that things seemed nice. The world wasn't scary and bad and awful. Even though conservatives of that time, I assure you, were saying absolutely that it was scary and bad and awful, because their previous time was back in like the 70s or the 60s or the 50s or whatever. That's what conservatism is. It's pretending there was a time in the past that everything was fucking awesome. How old are you, Kev? I'm 39. So I grew up in the sort of 90s, early 2000s. But when I say the 70s or 80s, I mean conservatives who were around at the time where these people think was good. The conservatives of that time, the adults, thought that the 70s, 80s, 60s, 50s, whatever, were the good times. Because that's when they were young and happy. It's pining for a lost youth before the world crushed them. It's quite sad in many respects. But the problem is, of course, everyone has these problems, but conservatism makes it everybody else's problem too. I have my disappointments about how the world has worked out. I don't try and fuck up everyone else's existence because of it. Whereas conservatism is the implementation of cruelty against people you don't like because of your own inadequacies. That's ultimately where it goes. So, the truly inadequate types like Carl and like this fucking white freak here on the TV next to Hartley-Brewer, who is herself also a freak, they are pathetic human beings who the only way they can feel good about themselves is to tell themselves that they are better than the brown people around them, and therefore to inflict pain and suffering on those brown people as a political ideology. 255, it's a point I've made to them and they don't care. Because again, it's not that they actually want to go back to that time, it's that they think that time was perfect because they didn't understand that time because they were young and stupid. And it was that precise stupidity which made them feel good during that time frame. Because if they didn't have that stupidity, if they had the clarity of an adult brain at that point and a properly moulded prefrontal cortex and all the rest of it, they would have realised that the things that they don't like about today also existed then too. To bigger or lesser extents, of course. But anyway.
I get that. Why is there being fewer births to white British as opposed to say, black British or brown British people, why is that a threat to our country?
You just said it yourself. When we say white British, this is a shorthand for English, Scottish, Welsh or Northern Irish.
Okay, but you can be black in those things. We know you think you have to be white in order to classify as those things. I assure you that isn't true. Marcus Rashford is as English as you, Carl. I'm trying to think of other Robert Earnshaw is as Welsh as any other Welshman. But he just thinks whiteness. That's all. The only thing you can be and be English, Scottish, Welsh, or Irish is white. You know.
These are ethnic groups to which people belong and have been the native ethnic groups of
not native in the slightest
this island for more than 1,000 years.
I assure you, your family have not been here for 1,000 years, Carl. Not with a name like Benjamin.
England became a united nation in, was it 927? Scotland, I think, was 896. The Welsh have been...
Okay, but the United Kingdom was 1707, so what? Like, literally, so what, Carl?
Here since time immemorial. The Northern Irish, let's not get into that for now.
Yeah, there's no... You know, the fact that we occupy some other people's countries, yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
This is our homeland. We've been here for millennia.
You have not been here for millennia, Carl.
Why is it now up for debate? Why is it now that we can just give the...
Well, it's always been up for debate. A country is always changing.
This away to other people. Why is it that the word British can be substituted for the words English, Scottish, Welsh and Northern Irish?
It can't. Those are subsets. When we say British, it's a shorthand for a person of the United Kingdom, which is the political entity. But they're not synonymous things, are they? A Scot and an Englishman are different in some respects. There's a cultural and historical difference there. And indeed a political difference because they are separated constitutionally. So they're not synonymous. You can't just replace them with those things, because those are subsets within British.
For other people with other homelands who actually are not suffering demographic insecurity that we are. The only reason that's important is because we have no other lands, Julia.
Well, I think you've just answered that yourself, Julia, and that is that this is a very recent change in our nation's demographics, and an unwelcome change. It is a change that nobody ever voted for. In fact, since modern mass immigration began with the passing of the British Nationality Act in 1948, the British public have routinely voted against mass immigration, particularly...
Right, but they continue to vote for the same parties that instituted it. So actually, in reality, they have voted for these things. Consistently. The fact that you keep being tricked by the Conservative Party, and indeed to a degree the Labour Party, who say we're going to lower immigration and then don't, I don't feel sorry for you. You've made your choice. You did vote for this. Tough. You were all super happy that the evil communist was defeated by Boris Johnson, and then he brought in the Boris wave. Enjoy. You got what you wanted, and you don't fucking like it. Tough shit.
Particularly from the Third World and former colonies.
But you're...
And also, the British National...
And former colonies. That's an interesting thing to throw in there. Maybe you shouldn't have colonised them in the first place, mate. Little curiosity for you there.
Nationality Act of 1948 was repealed and replaced with the British Nationality Act in 1981, when it became evident that it would lead to the destruction of the nation if we allowed literally the entire Commonwealth to just come and live here, right?
Right, but they didn't do that, did they? So, also, why would it lead to the destruction of anything? Unless you think that whiteness is inherent, and that it has to... The only way Britain could exist is through whiteness, which... even for racists, is a weird notion. Why would it lead to the destruction of the fucking part of the country?
So there is a reason that we didn't do this. There is a reason that we decided, oh no, we're going to have to essentially close the borders to that. They can't just have free movement, because there are hundreds of millions of them and barely tens of millions of us. FYI, Julia.
But you're talking about immigration.
That's because.
What's the distinction between immigration and the non-native population, Julia? They immigrated here. Immigration is how...
So did your family, Carl. So did everyone's fucking family.
They get here. And if we carry on with immigration, the non-native population will outnumber the native population. And then you're going to have...
The native population is 0, Carl. There are none of those people. You're just lying.
Have to bloody well hope that they are actually as concerned about your British values as you are.
I'm still waiting for Conservatives to even tell me what they think British values is. What do you mean, British values? I was taken aback this week. I saw... this is a slight tangent here. Kate Nash, the British singer, released a song. It's a cover of a Sinead O'Connor tune. R.I.P.'s in chat for Sinead O'Connor. It was her song about famine, the Irish famine. Which, by the way, wasn't a famine. It was a deliberate starvation campaign against the Irish people. But let's not get into it. Although maybe we should at some point. Because the point I'm trying to make is, in the video for that, there's a piece of art that she has. That was created by somebody else, I believe, it was stitched on it's either blanket or something of some sort, and it says, "The English don't know their history." And it got me thinking, because that's a point I've made a million times on this channel, is that the English don't know their history. It's not even that they like support the British Empire, because when it's explained to them what the British Empire did, people realise it's disgusting. It's just they're never told about it. They like the nice notions about empire and war and things like that. They like the Second World War because we're kind of the good guys. Again, it's not an entirely unique or clean slate, but really, we get to appear to be the good guys, and that's it. But, the institution of concentration camps, genocides on pretty much every continent except Antarctica, because, what's the point of killing penguins, I guess? Yeah, I mean, truly despicable shit. But you never get taught about it. You just don't. Oh yeah, the potato blight existed, but the fact that the British people, or the British government I should say, deliberately starved people. When we talk about the famine, it wasn't just the potato blight, because that did happen, but other crops and meats were unaffected by this. Those things were still exported even as people starved to death. The quote-unquote famine was a deliberate campaign of starvation in the face of cries for decency. The British government is to blame for every single death that happened there.
That's because these are people that are coming from vastly different cultures, vastly different parts of the world, with whom we have very little shared history.
I and many others,
and therefore,
Charlie, I and many others share those concerns, but you are conflating immigration and white. Yes,
But white British, because that is the shorthand for the English, Scottish, Welsh and Northern Irish, Julia. This is amazing, because this is the same argument that Jonathan Miller was making against Enoch Powell. Well, hang on a second. Just because...
He's literally... Okay, so unironically, he's now literally praying in aid Enoch Powell. By the way, he's talking about the interview on the Dick Cavett show, of all things, the American talk show host. When he came, he did a run of shows in Britain in the 70s, And Enoch Powell and the playwright and comedy writer Jonathan Miller happened to be on the same show for some reason, and they got into a rather famous intellectual discourse about immigration and all that sort of thing. And he's talking about that, which, by the way, I'm sort of it's interesting that Carl's deep dived this enough that he knows about that particular interview. And secondly, he's on Powell's side on this. He's literally saying Enoch Powell was a good dude who was correct. Yeah.
Because we allow infinite immigration doesn't mean those numbers are cumulative. That's what she's saying, is that, oh, well, what's the connection between immigration and the non-native population of Britain? Well, that's how one grows. That's how, primarily anyway, that's how that population has grown, and it's growing at an extraordinary rate. I mean, Matt Goodwin is the person who's like, look, by 2060 or whatever it was, we're going to become a minority in our own country. And Matt Goodwin is a prominent member of Reform. So it's not like it's just people in Restore who are
yeah, there are fascists in Reform as well. Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right?
Concerned about this. This is obviously a problem, and we obviously don't want to lose demographic control over our democracy.
Why? Why do you having demographic control, whatever the fuck that means, why is that important? Do you think that brown people are incapable of democracy?
Again, you assume they are all just going to agree with you and your British values, but it turns out they might not. Why would we take the risk? But moreover, why would we just give up our country anyway? Why would we...
You're not giving it up. What the fuck? It doesn't stop being your country because there are slightly more brown people than before. What the fuck are you talking about? This is just ethno-nationalist slop. You voted for this, chat. You voted for it. Boo yourselves.
We give up our lands anyway. Why would we, the native tribes of Britain...
The native tribe... He's even using tribes now. The native tribes of Britain. Did you know you were in a tribe, chat? Did you know you were in a native tribe? What a load of absolute shit.
Just be like, well, if the British state wants to replace us with a new electorate, I guess we're just going to have to let it, even though this has only been happening in the last, 20-odd years.
20-odd years? You took... Dickhead. Carl. Right. Put these two things together. You were referencing a fucking interview, or a debate thing, whatever, in an interview setting, between Jonathan Miller and Enoch Powell from, I don't know the exact year, it was in the 70s at some point. That was the decade it was in. And yet you are saying, somehow, that this has only been happening for the last 20 years. Bit of simple mathematics for you on this one, Carl. The 70s was 50 years ago. So it cannot possibly have been that these people knew what would happen 30 years or more from the time that they were talking. They were talking about what was happening at their time. So this must have been happening as early as the 1970s, which is 50 years ago. Not the last 20 years, at least 50 years ago. Carl, you fucking idiot.
And even though that was begun by Tony Blair's Labour, which I'm sure you oppose on almost every...
Tony Blair's Labour did the fucking... what somehow did the Windrush generation. From the 50s, did they? When Tony Blair was a child. He did that, did he?
Issue other than this. Why do we have to consent to it? Why wouldn't we want the Boris wave to go home, for example?
I realise...
Why would you want them to, necessarily? What difference does it make to you, particularly, that they're here or not here? That's the thing. I genuinely, I always just want to ask these people, what's your problem with them? What have they done to you, exactly? Show me where the bad immigrants hurted you.
That ethnically British people have been white, so they have been. However, there are an awful lot of people who we will live and work alongside, and children go to school alongside, who are not just British, as in they've got a British passport. Their parents were born here. They were born here. They know no other country. They consider themselves to be British. They are British. My grandparents on one side came from Ireland. I consider myself. My father was born here. My mother was born here. I was born here. I consider myself British. People with exactly the same credentials, but maybe their family came from the Caribbean or came from India, but they have lived here 2 or 3 generations. They shared language, values, beliefs, integrated, assimilated generations ago. Why is they having babies? Why is that a threat to this country?
Because they're not ethnically English, Scottish, Welsh or Northern Irish.
Okay, but why is that an existential threat? Carl, just pointing that very stupid thing out, which, like, obviously, they've already said that their family are from India or whatever. That doesn't change anything. Why does that stop Britain being Britain?
Like, for God's sake, this isn't rocket science. It's not that they are bad people. It's not that they just need to be expelled en masse or anything like that. It is that the natives, the people for whom...
You are not native, Carl. Please stop saying that word. You do not know what it means. Clearly. Ah, yes, the native tribes of Britain, yes. Looks just like him, yeah.
These lands are named, the people who historically possess these lands and possess no other need to think about the demographic composition of their countries.
Why? Again, this is the question that's never broached by these people. Why do we need to do that? Literally, why is that a concern that I should have? Why would I give 2 fucks about the demographic composition of the country? It doesn't mean anything. It's ridiculous.
At the moment, we're about 70% native. That's pretty...
No. 70% white. Not native. White.
Scary. Right? It used to be when you were a young girl that we were like 97% native, and somehow this distinction hasn't been drawn and is not dawned upon you. Right? They cannot make English people because they are not English. They cannot...
No, they can, and they do. They are English. They're as English as you, Carl. This is just eugenics, like... What, are you going to get the calipers to decide what percentage of Caucasoid skull you need to have to classify as English?
Not make Welsh people because they are not Welsh. We do not want our ancestors to look upon us and go, right, okay, for some reason you've let our entire people go extinct. Why would we want that? Who would...
Extinct! Extinct! God, Carl, if only you would go extinct, mate. Jesus Christ.
Want that? Who would want to be demographically replaced? What's the advantage? I actually don't care if they were born here and they're, oh, but they don't know any other country. Yeah, so millions of Europeans have been kicked out of loads of countries over the years.
Okay, so your argument that they don't need to be expelled en masse, but you're literally saying they need to be expelled. You don't care. You don't even care if they're good people or not. You don't care if they're good people or not. So don't bother making arguments then, Carl. When you bring up rape statistics, I can just say, well, you don't care if they weren't rapists. So why should I give 2 fucks what you have to say about anything? If it doesn't matter whether they're good or bad people, what's the point in having a conversation with you?
Even though they were born there and don't know any different, it's not a death sentence, Julia. Right? It's
not a death sentence for you either, you prick.
Not actually consigning them to the fires of Hades or something. It's just saying, well, they can live in another country. But the thing is, Charlie's not even saying that. He's just saying, look, maybe we need to think about this immigration thing and prevent unlimited numbers of third worlders or whoever else coming into...
Third worlders. Someone's been on the chans. Clearly.
to our country so our children are not a minority when they are our age
What difference does that make?
in their own country. Why would we want to give up our country to foreigners? There is just no good argument
We are not giving up our country to foreigners. Brown people existing does not mean the country is run by foreigners. Carl.
here, and you don't provide one, by the way.
So, Julia, you are here acting as a mouthpiece for the regime
Oh,
that currently
do
governs
shut
this
up,
country.
Charlie. You're embarrassing
Because what
yourself.
That is quite funny. Yeah.
I mean, you are.
I'm
I'm
asking you
I've been hearing for my
questions.
entire life, from primary school to secondary school to university, about what it means to be British, and that is that it is about shared values. This project
Why do you
has
keep
failed. It
mentioning
doesn't
skin
work.
colour then?
Because that's how the census category collates in a shorthand the native white British
No, not native, Carl. Stop saying native. It isn't native.
people of these islands versus the non-native people of these islands. Why is that such a bugbear for you?
As I've already said, and as you have acknowledged, white British is a census category used by the government
Well done there, Charlie, by the way. I didn't know he was going to say that, but correct.
to describe the English,
You did know he was going to say that. You've obviously watched this video, Carl.
Scottish, Welsh, and Northern Irish.
I have watched this previously, but I haven't got it memorised. I didn't know he was going to say that. I guess he's just been paying close attention.
In other words, the
No, it's that you fascists have one mindset. You all believe the same thing. The same wrong thing.
native peoples of the British Isles.
Native,
Now,
yes, I
if-
accept the word, I accept that, but why?
Yeah, because you're an idiot.
Okay, but if you accept it, why don't you accept that the native people of a country might not want to give their country away to other demographics of people? Like, if there were millions of Turks immigrating lawfully because the Greek government was completely government of traitors, just lawfully immigrating into Greece, and these 70 million Turks started displacing the 11 million Greeks at a rate of 2 to 1, and the Greeks were going to become a minority in Greece, would you not think that the Greeks would be like, actually, we don't want this many Turks?
Firstly, it's pronounced Greeks. And secondly, why are you inventing weird hypotheticals and then getting mad about it? What difference is... what is this?
Turks in our country? Actually, we're just going to stop Turkish immigration altogether, and any of those who have come illegitimately or under the banner of our traitorous government, we're just going to tell them, look, you've got to go home now. Again, not necessarily people who were born and raised, but people who immigrated in the last couple of years who shouldn't have been allowed to. Why should they not have to go home?
Because you know perfectly.
Because I don't want them to, Cole, because it annoys you. That, for me, is a perfectly justified reason for use of taxpayers' money to keep migrants here, is to piss off Carl. And his ilk, of course, his fetid garbage fashoids. The brainless numbskulls. You know. I can't think of a better use of public money than that.
Well, and with all due respect, I don't think you're as clever as you think you are. That you are constantly conflating the issue of immigration. I've just said to you there is an issue with immigration and people who are not integrated, but I don't see what that's got to do with skin colour.
You see, if you just smuckle, that's an argument. Fact. It's a fact. Come on, advert. Fuck off out the way with you. If someone says get ad block again, fucking ban them, okay? I've explained why.
The immigrants are the non-white British. That's...
Right, but what's that got to do with integrating? They can't become white people. So unless you're saying the only characteristic of a British person is whiteness, why would, what's the point you're making here?
It's not about their skin colour, it's about their ancestry. White British is being used as shorthand to describe native ancestry. So...
You don't have native ancestry, Carl. So you'll have to leave as well.
It's not about skin colour. You're, I guess, deliberate. No, you're probably not even deliberate. Probably just that you're a moron. But the point is, they are not native. That's just all it
Neither are you.
boils down to. We don't want to give the country away to non-natives. They have countries of their own. Why do they deserve ours? Make an affirmative case as to why my children should become minorities in their ancestral homelands.
To annoy you. That is the affirmative argument I'm making. The comedic properties of seeing you this butthurt about nothing is the exact reason that white people have to become a minority in Britain. That has to happen in my lifetime. I have to see Carl break down in tears as non-white people become 50.1% of the population. I need that to happen.
Make it. I want to hear it. And you're not going to make it because there isn't one.
What's your
There is. To annoy you, Carl. To piss you off.
definition of integration, Julia?
People, I think I've already said it 2 or 3 times, but people who speak English fluently, who are completely sharing values, belief in the law, equality under the law for women, gay people, I would suggest would be a key value now for the vast majority of Brits. You can marry who you want, you can worship who you want, you don't shut down to it. I would consider queuing, being nice, fairness. I would consider a lot of those people.
Fairness. She genuinely thinks fairness is part of the British characteristic. I mean, the right wing, this is the thing, right? The right wing description of what Britain is a nation you could be patriotic about. But the thing is, their description of the country isn't real. It doesn't actually comport with the reality of the country we actually live in. That's why they can't get their heads around why other people aren't patriotic. Because they don't live in a fantasy world.
British values and being integrated.
Right, okay. So before about the year 1900, there were no people who were integrated in Britain. Right? No one in Britain shared those values, at least from like 500 years ago backwards. No one in Britain spoke modern English. They didn't believe in women or gays equalities. They didn't believe in freedom of religion. They didn't believe in fairness in the way that you're thinking of it, queuing. They didn't believe in any of this stuff. Right? So no.
Yeah, it's almost, Carl, as if the country has changed since the year 1900. Yeah. We also didn't used to be able to fucking fly, and now we can go to the other side of the world in a day. Like, also, yeah, in terms of modern English, they did speak modern English in 1900. So he's wrong about that. Well, you could communicate with someone from 1900. Their slang expressions would be weird, I suppose, but assuming you both spoke in like your version of formal English, you'd be able to talk to them perfectly fine. So he's wrong about that, but yeah.
No one up until about 1600 even had the vaguest hope of being British as you think of it. So
yeah, you're so close, Carl. Just take that extra step. Just take that extra step. Yeah. Britishness is a very modern concept. Because Britain as a nation was a fucking modern concept. Or the United Kingdom, anyway. Memes. Gotta love the memes. What does this say? What if 900 trillion Turks moved to the UK and no one could literally move? How can you be pro-immigration in the face of that thing I just made up? True.
what is this? Is there no ancestry here? Is this still not the collective claim that we have? What happens when people don't agree? Like, I don't agree with your British values, right? I don't agree with... I mean, I love the Welsh are no longer... The native Welsh speakers are no longer British because they don't speak English.
Well, they do. There's no one who just speaks Welsh. But they also speak English. They may speak Welsh as a first language. That's a thing. That's absolutely a thing. But they do speak English as well. Come on, Carl. Don't be fucking stupid.
Like, that would be amazing. Like, there are probably Gaelic speakers in the very far-flung Highlands who basically don't speak English.
No, they do speak English. Again, there's no one who doesn't speak English. Why is he... Well, this is a really weird hill to die on. This is strange.
I mean, you would be like, yep, they're not British. Deport them. But I don't agree with your values. Equality, women's equality, gay equality. I don't agree with the word equality at all.
Yeah, we know, Carl, because you're a fascist. We get it. Yes. We get it. Also, I'm more than happy, if you don't agree with British values, for you to be deported. To the fucking sea. I don't care where.
I'm not saying that these people shouldn't have some kind of rights, but I just don't see the point of gay marriage. I just don't agree with it.
Fuck off then. Just go away. Go to one of the many, many countries in the world where gay marriage is illegal. Like Israel.
As a concept, really. And it's not that I'm particularly like hard against it. I'm not really that bothered about it. But if you were to ask me in the abstract, well, should gay people get married? It's like, well, no, because marriage is between men and women for the purpose of bearing children.
No, it isn't. No, it fucking isn't. What are you talking about? It was started off as a property issue. That's literally all it was. It was a marital contract of property. What the fuck are you talking about?
And obviously gay couples can't bear children, so what's the point?
No, but they can get bears and have them mate and raise children of bears, which would be bear children. So, I'm not suggesting gay people necessarily do that, but if you're into it, whatever.
Like, this is a weird kind of liberal vanity, and I'm not down with it. And again, women's...
Carl, honestly, mate, you should just join ISIS. If you could get past your hatred of brown people, you'd really enjoy Al-Qaeda, I think. I think you'd get on really well. You share similar social attitudes, I think. Yeah.
Equality women's equality in what? Like, there's a huge conversation to be had there. Be like, no, we've got to agree to everything. So, well, then why? Why do I have to agree with that? I mean, I don't stop being British if I don't agree with that.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're sort of making the argument for me here, Carl, about integration, because what does that mean? Because, for instance, a lot of the quote-unquote unintegrated people that you don't like are also against gay marriage. Again, you'd do very well to join, like a hardcore Muslim group. I think you'd get on well with them. Honestly, don't be surprised if in one of his videos soon he's got the ISIS flag behind him and he starts with Inshallah, brothers.
I love the idea that you can be like, yeah, so all British people have to have my values or they're not British. Actually, I don't have to. You know what? I don't have to have your values. I don't have to be a fucking libtard, which is what you're saying. If you're not a raging liberal, you can't be British. No, I can actually. I can be a British reactionary if I like.
And you most assuredly are, Carl. Well done.
I can be a British traditionalist. I can be a really, really far right. I could even be a way further left British person than you. And I would still be British. Because being British is based in your ancestry. Again, white British meaning native is based in your...
That's based on your ancestry, which is French, Carl. Your ancestry is French. Your surname is Benjamin.
Ancestry, Julia. That's what this comes down to. I don't know why you're so obsessed with imposing your value system on other people.
Says the fascist who wants to kick out brown people. Cool.
Leave me alone.
If all of the white British people currently in Britain were replaced by Pakistanis and Somalians, all of whom believed in queuing, would Britain be the same as it is now, or would it be different?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Just, okay, yeah.
You've got no answer to that. Your standards make it so you are forced to say, well, yeah, I guess if we've got English-speaking libtard...
255, you're a monster. I still don't see the point of gay marriage. Kev and I know what we mean to each other without a piece of paper. Jesus fucking Christ. How did you know about us? How did you work it out?
Hard queuing Somalians, then that's not a problem. And that's an issue, isn't it? It means that the British, the white British, the native population lose their countries. I don't want to lose my country.
Why does it mean you lose your country? Can you please explain? How does white people, not being the demographic majority, mean you lose your country? Do you stop being British? Does Britain suddenly, poof, it's gone, it's out of existence? What do you mean by you lose your country? What does that actually fucking mean?
Julia. Literally that simple. I'm sorry if this makes you feel icky when you go to a dinner party with libtards. You're like, oh yeah, no, I'm not a racist. I don't care about skin colour. I don't care about any of those things. I can't believe those icky Restore Britain people who just keep going on about not losing their country to Somalians. I'm not one of them. Okay, great.
Yeah, you're a racist, Carl. Well done on admitting that much, at least.
Great. But we are not like you. We do not have to be liberals, and we are not liberals.
This is
this is the key question, Julia.
No, it's not the key question.
It is absolutely the key question.
You're making
Either
a
we
glib
are a
point.
people or we
You're the
aren't.
one who keeps saying it's about
Julia, if you keep
immigration,
interrupting
and
me,
then
it's
you
not
keep
good
talking
listening to
about
the
skin
audience.
colour.
The immigrants, the skin colour of the immigrants usually correlates to the fact that they're immigrants. It is not a judgment, does not make them good or bad.
And you've already said you don't care if they're good or bad, so why mention that? I'm not sure. Can Carl just kill off his political party the same way he did with UKIP? Well, Carl has not had any real impact on Restore UK, the party of which he is a part, but he is also a part of that party as it dies. He did have a role in killing UKIP. He is incidental to the death of Restore, although there is a pattern emerging. All I'll say is there is more evidence of Carl killing political parties than of me killing Anne Widdecombe. So, do with that information as you wish.
And many immigrants don't have a different skin colour. It's the census description that we use. That's just it, Julia. That's just it.
Yeah, you're going back on, oh, it's in the census, therefore it's not a racial thing. Shut the fuck up, Carl.
The number of immigrants and the number of non-natives directly is connected because the immigrants are the non-natives who are arriving here and increasing the number of non-natives that are currently...
There are no non-natives. Shut up.
...in the country to the point where we're going to become a minority in 2060. What more...
Honestly, rookie numbers. We can do it by 2050 at the least, lads. Come on. If we do a miscegenation drive, we can get rid of them by 2050. I believe in us.
...can be said, Julia. Honestly, you can't pretend to misunderstand this any more than you already are.
Your happy place.
Wow, he is all... Ironically, he's all about the Benjamins, given the number of fucking adverts he's put in his video. We're getting through it though, chat. We're about 2/3 of the way through now, so just stick with it.
Julia, the question is, are we a people or aren't we? And if we are, then the changing demographics do have a material effect on the future of the country.
Changing demographics do.
Hitchens, I don't want my children to grow up in some effing Lebanon, which is the situation we are rapidly hurtling towards with the massive demographic change that we're experiencing in this country. So, if we are to restore Britain and turn it into a country that is worth living in for young people and old people, and all British people, then restoring Britain's demographic security and recognising that the changing demographics is at the root of so much of what is wrong with our country.
Really? Because I thought it was fucking Margaret Thatcher last time I checked. But no, apparently it's migrants that sold everything off. It's migrants that haven't been fucking investing in infrastructure for 50 years. No, it's definitely that Somalian that's the problem.
Country today is absolutely essential. And as you have just demonstrated, yourself, others in the mainstream media, and in...
You can tell the second he mentioned demographics, she was like, oh, I need to respond. But he kept talking, and so she's like, okay, I'll just wait. It's the demographics that they can't stand. So they can't stand the idea that we have demographic security, that we are not the same.
No, it's fucking stupid. I don't give a fuck whether you think you have demographic security, whatever that means. Like, I can't help but feel that you're a little bitch. How far did you dig to check that, Kev? To check what? Exactly. Anyway, the point being, yeah, I can't help that you're a little bitch who cares about the fact that other white people are around you, exactly, Carl. I couldn't give two fucks about that. When you talk about demographics, the reason I'm disgusted by it is because I know you're just being a racist cockhead. It's not the, oh, I can't stand the awesome epicness of your fucking basitude. It's that I know you're just a cunt. I could just roll my eyes and get on with my day, and most of the time I do. But on this one particular occasion, I have deigned to respond. You know.
Same as all of the immigrants, even if they're born and raised here, even if they're like second or third generation, they're still not a part of the group, the native group. And again,
don't care. And native isn't a thing, but I don't care. I don't give a fuck, Carl.
That's not bad. We don't need to do anything. We don't need to persecute them. We don't need to harm them. This is a...
But no, Carl, don't talk shit. You literally want to send them home, was your phrase. You want to forcibly throw people out of the country, so you are making a judgment on them, and you do want to fuck them up.
Reality, and we have to be cognizant of it. And Julia Hartley-Brewer is doing everything she can not to be.
To have this conversation because
I'm perfectly prepared to. I'm not trying to shut down the conversation. I thought I was having a conversation with you about restore and reform. We come back on again another.
Right, and that's where she leaves it. Right now, you might be like, okay, well, this is just the sort of thing the native white population cares about. No, not really. Based on Bougie is a reform supporter, a hardcore reform supporter. And she gets it. She says, I usually agree with Julia, but questioning why the extinction of a race is a problem is crazy.
Why would it be an extinction? Why does that mean an extinction of anything? Brown people being here is not an extinction. Also, she's a member of Reform, so she's also a fascist, Carl. She's maybe slightly less of a fascist than you, but I mean, it's degrees of smelliness of turd. Like, I don't care.
Yes, there are many ethnic minorities like myself who are born here, raised here, and do not identify or know anything else apart from Britain. However, without the indigenous English, Scots and Welsh, we would not have a British culture that is that us ethnic minorities love, adore and identify with today. The demographic replacement of any race should never be up for debate. So yes, demographic replacement must be prevented at all costs. That's a very reasonable point. Why would you not...
What do you mean? Well, okay, if the white people want to fuck and create more white people, cool. No one's stopping them doing that. They're just not doing it themselves. Immigrants coming in doesn't kill white people. White people just aren't fucking. They're like the panda. We can't make the panda breed. We're trying. We're giving it cash, threatening it, carrot and stick, and they're just like, no, we prefer bamboo, actually, thank you. And no, I'm not shagging. It's against God. I've taken a religious vow of celibacy.
I have that point. Like, what's the issue? I do understand. Right, Julia Hartley-Brewer just cannot bring herself to draw a distinction between the English, in this case, in England, Welsh, Scottish, Irish, and the non-English, Scottish, Welsh, and Irish. She just can't bring herself to do it. But this is a reality. This is a...
Right, but why would I care? So, yeah, there is a difference between white people and not white people in that they're white or not white. Fine, whatever. Why would I care? There's also a difference between tall and short people. But I don't think that the tall people need to have a demographic security. I don't think two short people fucking means the death of tall people. And trust me, Carl, I do absolutely mean that the height of a person is as important to me as their race or ethnicity. By which I mean, not at all. Literally zero. It wouldn't bother me if everyone in the country was 7 feet tall or 5 feet tall, or a good mixture. I don't care. I don't care whether the people are white or brown or any other shade of person. I don't care about their religion particularly, outside of the fact that if you're going to be religious, you have to be religiously tolerant. That is not something that is up for debate. But as long as you're prepared to allow me to not be religious, you can be whatever religion you so wish. Couldn't give two fucks. So, yeah, I don't care, Carl. And neither do most people, actually. Because the thing is, when you pray and aid public opinion about immigration, they don't go down your stupid line about demographics. Because most people don't give a fuck about that.
Real thing that is happening to us. We're being swamped by immigrants. And even the people who are descending...
We're being swamped by immigrants. Are you, Carl? I would hazard a guess that Carl doesn't know many immigrants. Pretty sure about that.
From immigrants, like, yeah, obviously these people shouldn't go extinct through rampant mass immigration.
Who's going extinct, Carl? Changing demographics does not mean extinction. You're not being genocided, Carl. And he's literally doing this, by the way. He's literally doing the white genocide thing. That is exactly what he means by this. He's doing the absolutely archetypal fascist buzzword nonsense, but without actually saying the words. Are there any massage parlours in Swindon staffed by immigrants? Okay, he may have been wanked off by one or two in the massage parlours, but other than that, he doesn't really know any immigrants.
And again, I'm not some sort of hardliner who's like, right, every person who doesn't have like native ancestry has to be just shoved off the cliffs. I'm not like that, right?
No, I don't. I think we should humanely expel them from the country. Thanks, Carl. What a liberal. What a classical liberal. Jesus Christ. He's so nice, isn't he? He's one of the nice racists.
It's just that we are looking down the end of our nations that have existed for thousands of years, more than 1,000 years each, and more than that.
Why are we? Why do they stop being the thing they are, Carl? Scotland would still be Scotland. England would still be England. Wales would still be Wales. Northern Ireland should be a part of the Republic of Ireland. There you go. I got into the topic, Carl, which you were too much of a minge to bother with earlier.
That in some cases. And there's no reason that we should permit it. It's not to our advantage for us to give over our countries to foreigners, and even the people who descend.
There is an advantage to me, Carl. Seeing you annoyed by it is an advantage to me. Drinking the tears of racists who are annoyed by that is worth it. 100%. Especially because I couldn't give a fuck either way. The race of the people around me matters not.
And for foreigners, like, yeah, don't do that. That's mad. And all I'm saying is, if I was in any other country in the world, if I was a visitor or a guest or a resident, a citizen of some other country, I'd be like, guys, why are you doing this to yourselves? Like, I've said this before, right? I love Greece. I would go and live in Greece if I didn't live in England, right? I would be the most rampant Greek nationalist. I would be constantly invoking Leonidas at Thermopylae, or Themistocles at Salamis, or whoever, wherever, right? I would constantly be invoking ardent Hellenic nationalism, saying, listen, you've got to make sure.
What a pretentious cunt, really.
Or that your country is yours, get all of these Turks out of here, make sure that your country is yours forever.
So now the situation he invented, where all of the Turks were allowed in, has actually happened, apparently. Apparently now it's just there are just Turks everywhere and there are no Greek people or whatever. Is he a grifter or just believes what he's shitting about? I think he believes a lot of this, yeah. Frankly, I don't think he's clever enough to be a naked grifter. I think he believes a lot of this nonsense.
As it's been for the past 2,500 or 3,000 years, as it should be for the next 3,000 years, right?
Why should it be? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Why should it be exactly that way for 3,000 years? Exactly. And also, the Greek nation wasn't really a nation, was it? Your attachment to a nation state doesn't matter. It isn't relevant to some ancient context. The Greek peoples were from city-states. There was no unified Greece. Jesus Christ.
I would be such a hardcore nativist in whatever country I lived in. And
Yeah, you'd be a fascist regardless of where you were. We're aware.
I just don't think... I think it's crazy that the white liberals in the media can't even... And these...
See, he's such a fascioid that Julia Hartley Brewer is a liberal. Amazing.
These are the right-wing white liberals in the media. Can't even begin to countenance it. Anyway, if you would like some ideas on what we ought to do to make sure that we preserve our countries as indigenously and authentically our own for the next 3,000 years, you can get yourself a copy of Islander 6. In it, it is the theme of this issue is what should be done. And man, there is a lot to be done because, like, I don't know whether you can see, but this is a picture of Big Ben on the top of an island on its own, and the hands are at 5 minutes to midnight because it's pretty damn late in the day.
What the fuck is he talking about? What? Go away, mate. Yeah, you voted for that, chap. You voted for that. It's on you. Now, admittedly, I gave you two absolutely appalling choices. That's not the point. You voted for that. Yeah, the font was pretty bad, to be fair, but, like, I suppose they're going with plausible deniability or something. Maybe, I don't know. Whatever. They're fascists. Well, we know what they are. I was about to ask if that's Kevsputin. I don't think that actually is Rasputin. It's like one of these, like, oh, the longest beard in the world, guys. I voted for VR chat. Should I do virtual reality at some point? Should I invent a fursona and go and chat to some people? Probably not, actually. Check out this if you've got a second. What am I checking out? What is this? If they had what? Eugenics ideas and policy making in Edwardian Britain. Okay, I might have a little read of that later. Thank you. Ooh. Anyway, an old school eugenics paper. Well, there you go. Yes, okay, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. I'll be back tomorrow. What day is it tomorrow? Wednesday? Yeah, I don't know what I'm up to. That's the thing with Parliament being off. The kind of the routine of like PMQs and question time and stuff is off. So I don't know what the fuck I'm going to be doing, but I'll be doing something. Got to squeeze in a what do you call it at some point? A happy hour. It's Thursday tomorrow. What is it? Oh, it is Thursday tomorrow. Okay. Well, they see what I mean. I'm all over the place. My left eye's going on YouTube, so there you go. Boom. And who's going on Twitch? JFK Rotting is going on Twitch, talking about New York or something. So I'll go and check that out. I'll be back. Yeah, like I say, I'll be back tomorrow. With something or other. We'll do things. I don't know. You people are awesome, genuinely. Thank you. You get me through difficult times. I appreciate that. Stay beautiful. No pass around.